Alrighty, so I'm going to show everyone how to help Rhea eggs hatch. So we're going to take a look at these eggs, see if they are ready to hatch, and then go ahead and help them get started to ensure that they hatch out and don't get stuck. So first thing we're checking for is internal pipping. So if you look at an egg, you can see the dark area and a light area. The light area is the air cell. Dark area is where the chick is. And if we look right here, you can see that dark spot keeps kind of bobbing in and out. That is where it has internally pipped the membrane and is now relying on that air cell to survive. So if we look at this one right here, you won't see any dark spot in that light area, and you might get a little wonky edge, you can see. But whenever you see an area directly in the middle that fades in and out, that's how you really know. Again, this one here, you can see a dark spot, so that's that beak. Good movement in all these, so they're nice and healthy. Right there's a really good one. You just see this dark spot. There's a hard edge from light to dark, where it goes from chick to air cell, and that spot right there at the tip of my finger, that's the beak poking in and out of that inner membrane. So the next thing we're doing, see where the air cell is. We're going to aim for right about in the middle, and we're actually going to crack the egg right there. Now sometimes I'll use the back of my light. I find using something with a more definitive edge, like a butter knife, so you have that nice hard back edge, but it's not a sharp edge. So right in the middle where that air cell was, again the air cell right there, so we're going to aim right in the middle, and we're just going to start tapping it a little bit harder and harder. And there we got the crack. So now where it's cracked, we don't want to really split it the whole way around. We're trying to make little cracks so it breaks up into pieces. So you want to crack it multiple different directions. So right like that, we got some nice spider webbing going on. And this worked out really well because it has a nice edge that I can get up under it and start flaking off some of the shell. So if we look to where I've cracked, we're still well inside the air pocket, and about as far as you want to peel is to that dark edge. I got a pretty good hole in here, so I'm not worried about it. I don't need it any bigger. It's perfectly fine the size it is. Just make sure, helps them get air, and it also makes the shell a little bit easier for them to break out themselves. So now that we have this nice hole, this here is the outer membrane. So this we can puncture, and that's what we'll do. Doesn't take a whole lot. And a lot of times it'll actually rip and tear whenever you're trying to break it. That outer membrane, like I said, that can peel off. You always want to make sure you're not peeling it off from underneath the inside of the shell, only the area where where you can see where you busted it out. Now, this membrane is the inner membrane. You don't want to rip that up. Alright, that's where the blood vessels are on the inside of the egg. And if you damage that early, you can cause them to be weakened and whenever they bleed. And if we look inside this egg here, there you can see its beak poking out through that internal membrane. So now that they're busted open like this, they have plenty of airflow. The shell's been weakened so they can get out. So now we'll let them sit in the hatcher for up to another 12 hours, and they should come out on their own just fine. If they are still like this within 12 hours, then we'll go ahead and bust out more of the shell, and we can talk about moving some of the internal membrane. But it just kind of depends on how they're looking after that 12-hour mark. So here's the next one I went ahead and did. He's pipping out real nice. Nice and active. I'll just carefully nudge that aside, get a look at his beak. We're not pulling or ripping that, we're just moving aside to take a look in there. And we'll let him hang out. So now this one I'll run through and just show you how quickly it can be done. Again, I'm checking, I see right down here, that's where he's pipped. I can see where the air cell is, so we're going to be aiming for right there. Take our butter knife. So we got a nice start going. Sometimes it can be a little hard just to get the first piece up out of here. Once you get it, usually goes pretty quick. Alright, and that's plenty big a hole. And gotta get a spot started through the external membrane. That's all we're doing. You can see his beak in there. So now we just sit him down and let him be. Now, one other thing I want to mention, say after 12 hours, they still haven't hatched out on their own. Another thing I like to do is I'll take the knife and just tap around so I just get a solid crack around the, I guess you'd call it the equator of the egg. So that way it makes it so that way the egg will be real easy once they start fighting. It'll just separate in half and they'll be able to fall out freely. But we usually wait to do that until a little bit farther in the process. But the nice thing about having this window, you can actually see in the internal membrane. If you're worried about your chick not moving, reach in there, give them a little poke. You'll see them twitch and wiggle. Main thing though is you're just letting them have a constant supply of fresh air.